Welcome back to the Daily-O and welcome into the Sports Corner. I'm Garret Dutton. Let's talk some sports, Stillwater. Welcome back to the Daily-O and welcome into the Sports Corner. I'm Garret Dutton. Let's talk some sports, Stillwater. Cowboy Wrestling's very own heavyweight Wyatt Hendrickson has been named the Big 12 Wrestler of the Year. This honor comes after Hendrickson compiled a perfect 27-0 record on the season and won the heavyweight national title in a historic upset against Minnesota's top-seeded Gable Stevenson. His win over the Olympic gold medalist was a part of 9 total victories over All-Americans throughout the year. Hendrickson's efforts and success also earned him the title of NCAA's most dominant wrestler for the 3rd time in his career and made him a finalist for the Dan Hodge Trophy. For the second lieutenant, his championship win and dominating year seemed improbable to others, but the Cowboys' belief led the way.
It's been pretty unreal. I've been riding a little bit of a high. It's just been like just a little bit of levitation because you look at it on paper, and you ask ChatGPT like, hey, what would happen in this match? 0% chance of me 100% Cable on everything. You look at every social media platform. I didn't do this before the match, obviously, but after the match, it was kind of cool. People were sending me stuff, and it was like, this is already spoken for. It's over. Like, Gable's gonna win this. No one really put any thought to me winning, besides us. We kind of knew what we wanted, and we wanted to go get it, and so seeing all that stuff around, I think it's just it's a good feeling because, just because someone else doesn't believe in you doesn't mean you should lose faith in yourself. And so, wrestling out there on that mat, the coach was in my corner. God was, the Holy Spirit was flowing through me and gave me the courage and power to finish that match strong and be the national champion.
Moving over to the Diamond, Oklahoma State softball narrowly missed a victory yesterday against Georgia Tech in Atlanta last night. After only one hit going into the 6th inning, the Cowgirl offense came to life in the 6th. A 4-run rally on the back of Amanda Hausler, who has now homered in 4 straight games, gave them hope. But it wouldn't be enough as the Yellow Jackets would close it out for a final score of 6-4. The Cowgirls are currently under action in Atlanta for a chance to get one back against Georgia Tech. Oklahoma State Equestrian is trying to keep their Big 12 champion streaks alive. The Cowgirls just defeated the Lady Baylor Bears with a score of 11-9. The Pokes jumped out to an early lead, winning 4 out of 5 matchups in reining. However, Baylor would make it closer with the flat event, but OSU would pull it out in the horsemanship. And they will battle against TCU, who is the first seeded ranked team in the Big 12 championship, and that matchup will start tomorrow at 10 a.m. Now, let's look ahead for the rest of OSU athletics this weekend. Starting things off with baseball is looking to win their first Big 12 series of the year against the Kansas Jayhawks. It's been a roller coaster of a year for the Pokes, but they're looking to carry the momentum of a midweek win against Wichita State. Speaking of momentum, Cowgirl Tennis is riding a 5-match win streak. They're currently taking on TCU in Fort Worth and then will head to Waco on Sunday against Baylor. Then, men's tennis has a chance to get to 500 this weekend. They're currently on the courts in Tucson against Arizona, then will stay in the desert for a Sunday matchup against Arizona State. And lastly, if you're looking to see anything in Stillwater this weekend, Cowgirl Soccer continues their spring exhibition season against North Texas on Saturday. The opening kick is set for 2 p.m. at Neil Patterson Stadium. Well, that's all we have today from the Sports Corner. Another big weekend ahead for the Pokes, but stick with us, because coming up, a reptile duo may have a lot of history. Rayma and Emmy have it right after this. Welcome back to the Daily-O and welcome into the Sports Corner. I'm Garret Dutton. Let's talk some sports, Stillwater. And the portal is hopping right now in Stillwater, with so many athletes announcing that they'll be wearing the orange and black next year. First off, Cowgirl basketball continues to add depth to their 2025-26 roster. Forward Achul Akat is coming to Stillwater. Akot is a junior coming from UCF, where in her sophomore year averaged a little under 7 points and rebounds per game. The 6'1" Ontario, Canada native shot over 49% from the field and led the Knights with 20 blocks. Her height and athleticism will add some much-needed depth in the front court for the Cowgirls. And staying on the court, Cowboy basketball is getting a new name from the transfer portal. Kanye Clary is Steve Lutt's first transfer pickup this season from Mississippi State. Clary only played in 7 games for the Bulldogs before dealing with a lower leg season-ending injury. But before that, he averaged over 16 points per game the year prior at Penn State. The 5'11" point guard looks to start the refill of this Cowboy basketball team that's losing over half of their roster. And speaking of that refill, breaking news from a little under an hour ago. Isaiah Coleman is joining Lutz and Clary next year. Coleman is coming from a competitive Big East conference, averaging about 16 points at Seton Hall. And hey folks, it doesn't just stop on the court with another new face to watch in GIA next season, as former Penn State wrestler Zach Ryder is heading to Stillwater after hitting the transfer portal Wednesday. Ryder announced his commitment to OSU a few short hours ago. The 184-pound freshman went 8-0 this past season and retains 4 years of eligibility. Now, Ryder had the opportunity to train under 5-time national champ Carter Starucci this past season. He's the 3rd Nittany Lion to join David Taylor and the 4th transfer so far this year. And last night, inside Gallagher-Iba Arena, was a night of honoring and celebration as Cowboy wrestling fans were invited to hear from and honor national champions Dean Hamady and Wyatt Hendrickson. Zach Berger shows us the special night for the two wrestlers.
2025 Dan Hatch Trophy winner, Wyatt Hendrickson.
Cowboy Wrestling rolled out the orange carpet Thursday night for the loyal and true for a chance to hear from and see Cowboy Wrestling's 2 national champs. The event featured head coach David Taylor recapping the success of the Pokes in their season, along with the entire team being there for autographs, to talk to fans, and to hold up the Big 12 Championship trophy. The highlight of the night was the 2 biggest winners. Dean Hamady Jr. and Wyatt Hendrickson sat down in front of fans to recounter their historic season and wins that led to their names being etched in the record books. But the peak of the night was the trophy presentation for Wyatt Hendrickson, winning the Dan Hodge Trophy for Best Collegiate Wrestler. Hendrickson went a perfect 27-0 with 13 pins on the year and a historic upset to heavyweight Gable Steveson. With all the love and support, though, from the Cowboy faithful for their success, Hamady made sure to make it known that Stillwater was the place to be.
Yeah, I think this is the best place in the country for wrestling. No place like this where you're going to get the fan support, and we're close as a team, and it's changed my life personally, and I think in every area, training, mindset, and faith. So I think that this is the best place for wrestling, and if you're a recruit, why wouldn't you come here?
Reporting from inside Gallagher-Iba Arena, Zach Berger, the Daily O.
Continuing the action, Cowgirl tennis with a dominating performance over Utah last night right here in Stillwater. The number 20 ranked Cowgirls defeated the Utes 4-0. This extends their win streak to 8 consecutive matches, a season best. In each of those matches, the Cowgirls have won the doubles point to take an early lead, where in singles, all 3 Cowgirl wins came simultaneously, leaving 3 matches unfinished. To top it all off, this Cowgirl win made head coach Chris Young the program's all-time wins leader with 284. Wow! The Pokes are back in action Saturday at 1 p.m. as they host BYU in their final home match of the regular season. Well, that's all we have today from the Sports Corner. Another big weekend for Cowboy athletics is just around the corner. But hey, stick with us, because coming up, new life in Spain for one endangered species. Rayma and Emmy have it right after this. Welcome back to the Daily O, and welcome into the Sports Corner. I'm Garret Dutton. Let's talk some sports, Stillwater. Cowgirl softball is back in Stillwater and ready for a 3-game homestand against Iowa State. Now, after a tough Bedlam run rule loss on Wednesday, the Pokes return to Stillwater in hopes to bounce back in Big 12 play. However, the Cyclones would push the 17th-ranked Pokes to extra innings and hold off the Cowgirls 5-4. Now, the Cowgirls had some success in the circle despite the loss, with Ruby Malin going all the way through extra innings, throwing 147 pitches and recording 14 strikeouts on the day. However, the Pokes struggled to get runs into home today as they would go 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position and leave 7 on base. The Cowgirls will look to bounce back tomorrow as Game 2 of their homestand starts at noon in Cowgirls Stadium. Coming off of one of the worst seasons in the Mike Gundy era, it's time for some new players to step up for Cowboy football. Specifically, in the receiver room, it's no different. Now for Io Shaddamide King, after backing up all year, it's about stepping up to the new challenge.
It's been different because, I'm quiet, kind of like to say myself. And Coach H has kind of challenged me to not be vocal, but, step into that leader position, kind of rally the guys and all that. So, and he always preaches to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So I guess, he's been pushing me, be uncomfortable, or being comfortable being uncomfortable. Each practice, I kind of get more comfortable in this field and kind of see I'm bigger than everybody else. So I can kind of, have my way a little more.
Moving things over to the mats, Cowboy Wrestling continues to add pieces for next year, and this time it's to the coaching staff. Lee Roper joins Oklahoma State as Cowboy RTC Executive Director and Senior Level RTC Coach. Now, Roper was an assistant coach at Northern Iowa for the last 8 seasons, but Cowboy head coach David Taylor has stated that improving the RTC was one of his main goals after he arrived in Stillwater, and this is another big step in that direction. Roper was a 4-year starter at Appalachian State University, and he later co-founded the Compound Wrestling Club in Georgia in 2008 and coached youth and high school athletes until 2015. And while we all know the concert is the biggest part of the weekend, if you're still looking to get your sports fix, there's a lot going on for teams repping the orange and black. Now, we had mentioned softball, but their Diamond Sport counterpart in Cowboy baseball is out in the desert against Arizona. Pokes are 500 on the season and have a tough task at hand as the Wildcats are currently ranked 20th in the nation. Moving things over to Cowgirl tennis, they play their final 2 matches of the regular season this weekend. They're currently underway against Kansas and will then face Iowa State in Ames. And the Cowgirls have currently won 9 matches in a row. And lastly, women's soccer with hopes of revenge as they take on the team that ended their season last year in the NCAA tournament against Arkansas as they continue their spring exhibition season. That match kicks off at noon on Saturday at Neil Patterson Stadium. Well, that's all we have today from the Sports Corner. A historic weekend for Stillwater and Oklahoma State is upon us. But stick with us because coming up, one group of women is reaching new heights next week. Rayma and Emmy have it right after this. Welcome back to the Daily O and welcome into the Sports Corner. I'm Garret Dutton. Let's talk some sports, Stillwater. And we're starting your Friday off with Cowboy baseball as they are currently underway over in O'Brate Stadium against the University of Houston. Pokes have their backs against the walls right now, where if they want any chance to see postseason baseball, dominance has to start with this weekend series against the Cougars. Now, Houston is a pretty even match with the Cowboys as they sit 3 games over 500 and are coming off getting swept against West Virginia. And as of right now, Game 1 sits at 4-2, top of the 6th, Pokes leading the way. And if the weather holds, Game 2 tomorrow is at 6, with Sunday's finale at noon. And keeping things on the diamond, a 7th-inning offensive eruption secured the win for Cowgirl softball last night against UCF. The Cowgirls dominated the Diamond last night with a 7-0 win over the Golden Knights, and all the action came from the 7th inning, starting off with Rosie Davis singling in Megan Delegadio to break the tie. Audrey Schneidmiller followed up with her first home run of the season with Davis and Talon Edwards on base. An RBI ground out and a UCF fielding error brought in the other 3 runs. This inning marked the most runs OSU has scored in an inning on the season. The Cowgirls return to action tonight at 6 p.m. And looking at pokes in the postseason, both men's and women's tennis having success early in the Big 12 tournament. Yesterday, men's tennis got it going, taking down BYU, but it was a fight by a final score of 4-3. The Cougars came out clutch, winning the doubles point on the tiebreaker. It was back and forth from there, with the two teams trading courts wins. But courts 1, 3, 4, and 6 would go to the Pokes for the win. They now are getting ready to take on number 1 seeded TCU at 6. On the women's side, it was pretty much dominance. Other than injury forfeit on court 6 for ASU's lone point, it was all Cowgirls. The doubles point, court 1, 2, and 5 went to OSU for a quick morning win. They now will play tomorrow in the semifinals against BYU or UCF at noon. And with the spring transfer portal opening up on Wednesday, Cowboy football makes another addition to the 2025 roster. Wendell Gregory is a 6'4", 260-pound redshirt freshman edge rusher. The former South Carolina Gamecock will give OSU defensive coordinator Todd Grantham some serious size to work with. And despite only playing 2 games for the Gamecocks and recording 1 tackle, his talent is unquestioned, considering what he was able to do in high school. The 4-star recruit racked up 56 tackles his senior year, 18 of those for a loss and 7 of those being sacks. And he rolls into Cowboy country with 4 years of eligibility remaining. Well, that's our look today from the Sports Corner. It looks like another fun weekend ahead for those in the orange and black. But hey, stick with us, because coming up, the British are coming! The British are coming! Was historically shouted 250 years ago. Rayma and Emmy have it right after this.